Good afternoon, dear students. Welcome to your English class. In this video, I'm going to recite and explain the last two stanzas of the poem Apostrophe to the Ocean, which is written by George Gordon Byron. And the stanzas are 183 and 184. Stanza 183. Thou glorious mirror, where the Almighty's form glasses itself in tempests, in all time, calm or convulsed, in breeze or gale or storm, icing the pole or in the torrid clime, dark heaving, boundless, endless, and sublime. The image of eternity, the throne of the invisible, even from out thy slime, the monsters of the deep are made. Each June obeys thee, thou goest forth, dread, fathomless, alone. In this stanza, the speaker addresses the ocean and describes the image of ocean as the image of God. He says that the image of God is reflected in its waters. There one can find God and find eternity, no matter if the waters are calm or convulsed. God is there through the dark and joyful times. The final lines of these stanzas appear to be an allusion to the rhyme of the ancient mariner. The words monsters and slime are out of place in regards to the rest of the poem, perhaps suggesting but delving into the darker parts of the ocean that Harold clearly holds so dear. The ocean commands all that's within it, he says. So he praises in this stanza once again the ocean and says that ocean is the reflection of the Almighty. Whether the ocean is calm or it is stormy, but it is the reflection of the Almighty. The ocean is the image of eternity, and even the monstrous or huge creatures are born in the seabed. But each zone obeys the ocean. North, south, east, west, each zone obeys the ocean, and he says to the oceans to roll on. The ocean he addresses as dread, fathoming so. Stanza 184. And I have loved the ocean, and my joy of youthful sports was on thy breast to be borne like thy bubbles onward. From a boy I wantoned with thy breakers, they to me were a delight, and if the freshening sea made them a terror, it was a pleasing fear, for I was as it were a child of thee, and trusted to thy billows far and near, and laid my hand upon thy mane as I do here. The poet's love for the ocean is reflected in 184 stanza. The lines are suggestive of Byron's own love for swimming as well. He spent time in the water as a boy and young man. The waters were a delight to him, and if there is ever a moment of fear, it was a pleasing one. He felt himself a child of the ocean, and he trusted the ocean as one has to trust a horse. He still feels this way today. Now let's talk about the structure and form of the poem. Childe Harold's Pilgrimage by Lord Byron is a narrative poem separated into 4 parts. The poem is quite long, and this analysis only focuses on the final stanzas. The poem is made up of 4 cantos and are written in Spenserian stanza. The stanzas are 9 lines long with a rhyme scheme of AB, AB, BC, B, CC. Let's know the new words. Tempest means storm, convulsed, shaken up, climb, weather of a region, gale is a very strong wind, sublime means divine, fathomless means extending deeply, slime means soft, moist earth or clay, wanton, extravagant, and billows means surging mass. Let's recapitulate what we have learnt in the poem. Let's once again go through it. The poet finds happiness in spending time in seamless forest and beaches. He says that he loves nature better than mankind. He likes to spend time by the sea and observe the music produced by waves and tides. He likes to interact with the universe through these encounters and analyze what he can express and cannot keep hidden. The poet then in the next stanza addresses the ocean and asks it to keep on rolling. He goes on to say that as many as 10,000 ships sail over it uselessly. Compared to ocean, man is trivial. The poet addresses the ocean as you and says that you toss and turn man away from your bed to the skies and send him shivering in your playful tides and sea storms. You make the man howl and pray to his God with little hope to find a port or shore. You dash the man back to earth's surface somewhere and let him remain there. In the next stanza, the poet continues to address the ocean and says that the most powerful of men with ammunition, monarchs, including powerful animals like whales, all are its toys and are as useless as snowy flakes. The ocean ruins the pride of the fleet of warships and the spoils of the Battle of Trafalgar. The poet then says that in front of the empire built by the shores of the ocean, no other empire stands, including Rome and Greece. It's from your water they have got power, while the cities were being either ruled by a tyrant or they were free. Lands ruled by rulers from other lands, their debauchery has decayed cities to desert. You are unchangeable, time or the rulers' tyrannical rule has not changed you. So the ocean is unchangeable. Even since your inception, you have been the same and you are still flowing in the same way. So, ocean is said to be as eternal. Ocean is the reflection of Almighty. Sometimes you are calm, hot, but you still have the image of God on you. Out of your water slime, dangerous aquatic animals are made. The shore, the monsters, every zone seems to agree with you. You keep on rolling. In the last stanza, the poet expresses his great love for the ocean. That is clearly said. Now it's time for home assignment. In your home assignment, you have to write the substance of the poem in your own words, and Do write it in your MCB copy. I hope you have understood the poem, and I also suggest you to recite the whole poem once again. Thank you, students.